It's good to see you. I'm Alfred Perlman. I'm a railroad man, and I'd like to tell you something about our railroad and what we're doing on it. Hear that click of the rails? To a railroader, that's the same music as a hush in the theater to an actor before the footlights come up. The click of the wheels on the rails gets into your blood. People tend to take the railroad pretty much for granted. We in the railroad business probably haven't told the story of the changing conditions in our industry. The railroads have been so much a part of our American history and landscape that most of us don't realize how much they have kept changing. For the railroads have changed with the times, and now they have entered what is perhaps the most dynamic period of our development. That is what this picture is about. I hope you'll enjoy it.
Had a job waiting for it from the beginning. Power on the move, looking for wilderness to eat up. Its smoke signals said, "We're coming west with everything you need to clear a forest, make a homestead, build a town." It said, "We're coming east to keep your cities fed, your industries alive and growing." Heavy load to carry, carrying the country on its back from the 19th into the 20th century. From the furrow of the rails sprouted our modern industrial world. The idea of masses of goods for masses of people took shape. This skyline, its signature. One continuous moving assembly line, and the rail itself, part of that line. The steel needing iron ore and power, the power needing coal and oil. Every part of the line connected to every other part. Mile after mile of industrial power. Assembly line of the American economy, and the rail itself part of the line. Like Greenwich time, the freight car load is a standard. It registers the health of the economy. A freight train packages factory loads, tonnages, iron mines, cattle ranges, packages quarries, forests, wheat fields. More than 100,000 freight cars loaded and put on the move in the United States every day. And tomorrow the load will be heavier. To increase efficiency, the railroad calls on modern science and research. Science and research, key words in industrial progress.
The Central uses 2,000 diesel locomotives. Each engine has 3,000 moving parts. Breakdown means time and money lost. Can't we spot trouble before it starts?
Less time in the shop means more time on the road. Science and research, hurrying up the repair job. instrument is the direct reading spectrometer in the research lab of the New York Central Railroad in Cleveland. First, burn a sample of the oil, which minutes before was circulating in an engine. Burn it down to an ash. What's in this ash? Minute particles of elements swept into the oil as it lubricated the moving parts of the locomotive. Submicroscopic bits of piston steel, copper bearing, crankshaft. The ash is inserted in the spectrometer. The spectrometer is the detective, revealing wear and tear on these engine parts. Time for analysis, 47 seconds. By chemical analysis, 2 months. By checking wear and tear figures on each locomotive against previous readings, trouble is averted before it starts, saving millions of dollars a year. The danger point is spotted. Time presses. Wheat, steel, meat. Tomorrow's necessities can't wait.
Operator, connect me with Power Control in New York, please. Power Control, this is R.L. Barr in the Spectrometer Lab in the Research Department in Collinwood. Yes, we're issuing an MP325 on Unit 4200 for immediate bearing inspection. You cut the engine out in Buffalo. Okay, thank you, Mr. Potter.
Increase performance, lower the cost. More out of less. A problem for scientists.
Now, our diesels use 20 million gallons of high-grade fuel per month. Cut the cost of a gallon by just 1 cent, and you save more than $2 million a year.
Puzzle for the technician. How do you transform an inferior product into a superior one? Find the right working equation. They created an additive, which converted a substandard fuel into a high-grade fuel. More out of less. More speed, more power for the big train. In the Central's atomic laboratory for authorized personnel only, an atomic switch lamp is being tested. Self-powered, it will burn continually for 12 years. Can the traditional rail shape be modified to support heavier loads at greater speeds? Experiment, a dry lubricant for locomotive gears, which could simplify engine maintenance. From roadbed to signal tower, the American Railroad is being refashioned.
Harold, you're going to take your car since you're getting off.
Electronic freight yard, the frontier yard of the New York Central at Buffalo. 1 yard that took the place of 8, and more like it being built. As letters arriving in a central post office are rerouted for new destinations, so arriving trains must be reassembled into new trains in freight yards. Frontier Yard can handle 3,000 cars a day and set them moving on their way 3 times as fast as it used to take. As it moves down an incline called the hump, the freight car is taken over by automatic controls. Its weight and speed are instantaneously calculated on a computer, regulating a system of retarders which slow down the cars. they move on their assigned tracks to assembling trains at the exact speed necessary for smooth coupling. New railroad in the making. Early Bird, nickname for a fleet of New York Central's crack freight trains that speed each day from the Midwest to the East. You are watching the loading of NY4, one of the early birds on the Chicago-New York run. Masses of things for masses of people. Everyday things. Plywood, canned goods, housewares, drugs, paint, newsprint, auto parts, living standard. Auto parts, housewares, meat, copper wire, brass fittings, even as they go aboard, every shipment, its description, destination, and car number is registered, fed into teletype machines. At the same instant, the loading is being recorded in bureaus in Cleveland, Detroit, and New York. Throughout its length, the electronic nervous system of the railroad is alert. p.m. Blue Island Yard, Chicago. Time to roll. The early bird gets underway. Destination, New York. Freight cars behind its diesels. Payload 4,000 tons. 8 million pounds of freight on the move. Moving against the industrial skyline, which 100 years of train movement helped to make. Night across the Midwest, moving eastward.